Hey everyone, welcome to Buick Outdoors. If you're new around here, my name is Sheldon Marion, and today we're doing an unbox and gear review of the Survive Outdoors Longer Survival Kit. So right off the hop here, guys, this thing is extremely small, compact, and light. Here at the highest point, it might be an inch tall, and then it's only about 3 inches wide, 6 inches tall. And this comes in a waterproof case, little belt buckle kind of thing up top here, and it's one of those waterproof cases that you just kind of roll it up. So we have, again, it comes with a nice little bag, and inside we have this little fire starter. It's just like a little flint. So you sit there and you see that it sparks. With that, it also comes with a couple little chunks of cotton, and these here we'll test out later on, but small little, almost look like old school earplugs kind of a thing. So I'm sure with these we'll be able to rip those apart and get really light fluff off of them. And then hopefully if we hit it with the sparker there, it'll ignite and we can use them as a fire starter. Also inside here comes with, I'm assuming, a very cheap compass. I know north is straight over there, so we'll see if this thing actually points north. Surprisingly, it does. Typically in these kind of cheapo survival kit type things, the compass is the last thing that you'll ever want to depend on. But with this one, I guess if you're in a bind, it might get you through. In the bottom here comes with a very small roll of duct tape. Duct tape's one of those things where, you know, it's a very useful tool. You get pretty creative with it when you're out in the bush, kind of a thing. But comes with some duct tape anyways. Then in this little capsule, looks like there's a couple of safety pins and some fishing lures. Maybe a small little bit of copper wire almost, but not enough for any snares or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it's copper wire, but I bet you it's only about an inch long. Right here, it's just enough to hold your fishing line in place. With the fishing hooks, there's 4 fish hooks, 2 little split shots, and that's about it. So yeah, you know, the amount of fishing line that you have in there too, it's a pretty small amount. But if you're fishing from shore and it's like a stocked lake, you might be able to catch a couple little rainbows or brook trout kind of a thing, if you find some bait, that is. And also in here you got 4 little safety pins. So one thing that I didn't notice there when I was taking everything out of this little capsule is that it also comes with a very small sewing needle. There's no thread that comes with it though, but if you're going to be sewing up your pants or something like that, I guess you could use up some of your fishing line for that. So next thing coming out of the bag here is we have a signaling mirror. Try not to flash you guys with that. On the back here it has just a small little write-up. It says mini rescue flash signal mirror, and unfortunately there's no directions on how to use this. So if you've never actually used one of these before, it is absolutely useless to you. basically what it says on the back is, it says, for detailed instructions, see website. Well, if you're using this as a survival kit because you're in a survival situation, I highly doubt that you're going to be able to get onto your computer, type in www.surviveoutdoorslonger.com and figure out how to use this. So part of going through your survival kits and all that stuff, make sure you pull everything out and check it all out. To me, I was under the assumption that there'd be some sort of instructions on how to use a signaling mirror actually written on the signal mirror itself, or at least a little pictogram or something like that on the back, but unfortunately there's not. So it's a good reminder for everyone to actually go through their stuff and to make sure that you actually know how to use your equipment. And then after that, we have a little whistle. It works, so there we go. Whistles are great if you're ever in a situation, if you hear people walking and you're stuck down a little ravine or something like that, or you're just tucked away somewhere where people can't really see you, but you can hear people walking, or you can hear search and rescue guys coming in calling your name or whatever. Instead of yelling, your voice doesn't carry overly too far, but that will carry so much farther than you just yelling. But anyways, that's survival whistle. It works. Now what we'll move on to next is the survival blanket. Now this, it looks like it's inside of another bag, and I'm not going to unfold it just yet, because once you unfold these things, it's worse than trying to fold up a map. I don't think I'll ever be able to get it back into this little compact size. But it is just a regular old kind of like astronaut blanket. It's kind of like that orangey red color on the outside. I can see on the inside it has like that tinfoil look. So in theory, when you wrap yourself up with this, as long as the tinfoil is pointing towards you, it'll reflect your body heat back into you. Another thing that you can use with these is if you make a lean-to shelter, use this as a reflective backing and then have your fire out front, and then that way when you have your fire, the radiation heat from the fire will come in, it'll warm your front, but then it'll also hit the silver pieces on here and it'll kind of reflect you onto your back. So in your one fire, kind of heats you up all the way around if you have this set up properly in your little shelter. And then last but not least, it does come with this waterproof bag. If it's waterproof, it's good at keeping water out. It's also going to be good at keeping water in. So if you're in a spot like this where there is not much for any water source, if you do find a place where you're able to get clean drinking water from, you would be able to fill this up as long as there's no holes in this. And it's not going to be much, but you would be able to get probably 2 cups of water, maybe 3 cups of water in this, and then you'll at least have something to drink. Now with that all being said, what we'll do next here is, because it's so dry right here where we are, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything over to where my side-by-side is, and we're going to test the fire starters just in the box of the side-by-side with water at hand. Just because it's so dry here, I really don't feel comfortable lighting a fire right in here, and also the wind's blowing. I don't want to cause a forest fire. So when you're out doing this type of stuff, again guys, when you're testing your gear, make sure you're testing it in a safe environment. Okay guys, so we're back here at the side-by-side. So we're not going to hopefully cause any forest fires, but we have our little fire starters here, and we have our little flint. It's a very, very small thing. You can see here there's directional arrows on the front, also on the side, telling you which way it has to go. Now with this, it doesn't, you know, there is some spark that come out of it, but not overly too much. So I don't really have too much high hopes for this, but we're gonna give her a go here anyways. Doesn't smell like there's any sort of doesn't smell like there's any kind of like fire starter on there. But what we're gonna do here for the first test is I'm just gonna strike this. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a couple of really small black specks on there. Other than that, there's nothing happening. So what I'm gonna do, able to pull some of it off. Now that I'm getting kind of to the inside, almost feels like there's a little bit of a waxy center in there. So now that we have that little bit open here, you see the little fluff. I'm gonna try this again once that wind dies down. There's just a slightest little breeze, and I'm gonna try my best to get this to go. So again, you can see the sparks, they come shooting out that side. This just does not want to go. Maybe what I'll do is I'll pull more out, separate it like crazy. Again, it's just doesn't want to go. In my pocket here, I have an actual lighter. So it's an actual lighter. Whoa, that goes up extremely fast. So the fire starter itself is good, but this isn't. That's pretty well junked. But we'll put it back into this case, because on my next video coming up here, we're going to be taking this out and we're going to be actually seeing if we can survive the night with just this. I do bring extra stuff with me, but that's in case this stuff doesn't work and I'm actually in an actual survival situation. So for right now, I'm just gonna pack up all of this stuff, and then we'll go through kind of like the pros and cons of this whole setup. Well, you guys, I just got everything packed back up into this kit here. You know, overall, it is a somewhat handy kit to have. They're really cheap. I think this one is around that $30 mark from Canadian Tire. Going through some of the pros and cons of this thing. We'll start with the pros. There are some good things that come with this case, or with this kit. One of them is the case. It is a waterproof case with everything completely out of it. You can use it to pack your water in it as well. One of the pros is the fire starter. Not the flint, but the cotton itself. You've seen that once I hit it with a lighter, it actually went up very quickly, and that propellant there, it seems to be burning. It burnt really good, burnt tips of my fingers a little bit. The compass actually pointed north. Normally really cheap compasses, you would get lost in your own backyard or in your house if you try to rely on a cheap compass, where this one here, it actually pointed north, so I'm very surprised with that. The other pro is it came with, you know, duct tape. there's a million and one different things you can use duct tape for. When you're out in the bush, the whistle works, and it works great. Sorry if I blew your eardrums out when I blew it on earlier. The fish hooks and the split shots. The split shots are just weights that go on the line there. Great idea. Good thing to have in here if you're in an area where there's lots of fish that you can catch. The problem though is, well, I'll get to the problems later. And also another good thing is the little space blanket. Those things, they are great to have when you're in like a survival situation. It wouldn't be something that you would take instead of a tent and sleeping bag, but if you're ever in a big wreck, you know, and you really need something, even if it was just to get you out of the wind or out of the rain, it's just amazing what a little bit of shelter will do for you when you're out in the bush, and that space blanket will definitely do that for you. Now unfortunately comes the cons, and there's a lot of them. First off, the flint. Now it is a extremely cheap survival kit, but that flint is just completely useless. The flint, I would take that out and just put in a mini lighter in there instead. The signal mirror, I know a ton of people that hunt and fish, trappers, guides, outdoorsmen, you name it. I don't think any of them know how to actually use a signal mirror. So to put a signal mirror in the kit is a good idea, but then not to put instructions on it is you're asking for troubles. Also, the amount of fishing line that they give you, there's not much there. Again though, it's a very small, compact survival kit, so you can't exactly expect them to put in a whole pile of fishing line. The safety pins were a good idea, but the little sewing needle is almost useless. There's no sewing thread. You could potentially use the fishing line, but then you have to kind of pick whether you're going to catch fish to survive, or you're going to sew up the hole in your pants or whatever it is. Another thing too is if they thought it was a good idea to have that needle in here in case you have to give yourself stitches or something crazy like that out in the bush, that needle is extremely wide and very, very big. You would almost be better off to take the duct tape and wrap that around your skin, and hopefully that will keep it shut long enough to get you into the hospital instead of having to use the needle for stitches. That needle is just useless. And other than that, the bag itself, it does its thing. It works. A major con for me though is that there's not a knife in here. Even some cheap little pocket knife kind of, this one here is not exactly real cheap, but a small little knife, something where you can just shave off a little bit of wood or something like that off the kindling, just to help you out with fire starters and all that good stuff. And also, having a knife out in the bush is just makes sense to have that in a survival kit. With this one not coming with one, it kind of defeats the purpose of calling it a survival kit. But overall, this is a good kit to kind of start with and to add your own stuff to it. First thing I would do is take out the flint and the mirror, and I would replace that with stuff that's actually going to work. If you have the whistle, I honestly think the whistle is better than the mirror. Out here, I'm not going to be able to signal at 747 flying at 30,000 feet. However, if I am in a situation where search and rescue is coming out to get me, the whistle will be just amazing to have. They'll be able to hear that from a long ways away. Also, the fishing gear, I would change that up slightly, and I would put in a knife of some sort. Even like my knife here that I have, this little buck knife, you know, it's a small little fold-up knife. It stays nice and razor sharp. You can see that would fit in there no problem if I took a couple of things out, like the fishing line. But anyways, that is why you go through your survival kits. You build them to where you're going to need them. You know, if you're out in the bush like this, you're not going to need any fishing line or fish hooks at all. However, there are good things that you can use fishing line for. If you're building a shelter with your space blanket, you can use the fishing line to connect your space blanket to trees, kind of a thing. You know, so there is a lot of multi-purpose things that you can use it. But anyways, guys, that's my gear review of the Survive Outdoors Longer Survival Kit from Canadian Tire. I believe this one ran me about $25–30, somewhere around there. If you like this video, make sure you hit the little like button down in the corner there. Leave us a comment or two. Tell us what kind of survival kits you use, or which ones that you want me to do a gear review on next, and I'll see what I can do. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of our outdoor adventures. And if you want to see this thing in action, one of my next videos coming out is going to be me taking this out to the bush, and I'm going to see if I can survive. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you on the next one. We have fire.